The two Nordic countries of Sweden and Finland are pushing forward on their landmark bids to join the NATO military alliance. For Sweden, joining NATO would mean giving up more than 2 centuries of neutrality. Public opinion in favour of joining NATO grew to around 50% after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But NATO expansion is being opposed by member country Turkey. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has accused Sweden of supporting opposition groups it labels terrorists and is angered over Sweden's embargo on arms sales to Turkey. All 30 NATO members must approve expansion bids. The issue is expected to dominate discussions at a NATO summit at the end of June. I'm now joined by Sweden's Defence Minister, Peter Hultqvist, from Stockholm. Welcome to DW. You said publicly last year that you would, quote, never allow Sweden to join NATO as long as you were Defence Minister. Why the U-turn now?
The situation before 24th of February was one situation, and the situation after the Russian attack against Ukraine is another. We have a situation when we have a real war in our neighborhood, and that has changed the situation fundamentally. And we have also decided after a security analysis to go to NATO membership together with Finland. So it was one situation before and it's one situation after.
Now, Turkey is threatening to block your accession. Do you think you'll be able to persuade President Erdogan to lift his veto?
We have a dialogue with Turkey and also with different countries inside NATO and also with the General Secretary. And our ambition is to solve this problem.
Now, Ankara says both Sweden and Finland harbour Kurdish activists and people linked to the Gülen movement whom it considers terrorists. Is that true?
We have Kurdish. We have people with a Kurdish background that are Swedish citizens, and behave from that point of view that they are equal as other citizens in the Swedish society. The problem we now have with Turkey, we will try to solve, and we have a diplomatic dialogue about that.
So, are you prepared to make concessions to Turkey by extraditing or expelling activists?
We have this dialogue, and we will comment that when the so-called problem is solved.
Are you confident that you will be able to convince Erdogan?
As I said, we have a diplomatic dialogue, and I have to refer to that. And you must also have respect for that Sweden tried to solve this question together with other friends inside NATO.
Now, Sweden has over many years, like many other countries, cut its defence budget. Until recently, now it's had to spend big on rearmament. How prepared is Sweden actually for a worst-case scenario?
Your description is wrong, because we started with a defence decision 2015, and between 2014 and 2025, we increased the budget with 80%, 80%. And added to this, we have this year decided to put two more Swedish billion crowns into the defence budget, and we also decided to go up to 2% of GDP. And connected to what the armed forces says, we can do that 2028.
Now, what changes are we likely to see on the ground if Sweden joins the alliance? Would you, for example, allow NATO troops or even nuclear weapons onto your territory?
I don't think that it's a question that are on the agenda that we should have nuclear weapons. I think we have the same position as Norway. The whole idea to be a member of NATO is also that we will have NATO representations in different sort of exercises and activities on Swedish soil. And I think that what we can do together is that from a Nordic perspective, make a strategical deep on the military operation arena. So I think we can build a higher level and higher threshold towards Russia with NATO membership.
Now, this is a historic shift for Sweden. Is your identity as a neutral, peaceful, non-aligned nation now completely lost?
I think this is a wrong description, because our values is the same values as other countries in Europe, for example, Germany and others, that we try to create peace and we try to create peaceful solutions. But we are not naive. We see the development around us, and we must also make conclusions from that situation. Now we have the first big war in our neighborhood since the Second World War. So there is a fundamental change, and it's 100% Russia's responsibility.
The Swedish Defence Minister Peter Hultqvist there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, voters in Denmark are going to the polls today in a referendum on whether their country should join the European Union's common defence policy. Denmark is an EU member, but after a 1992 vote, it negotiated exemptions on various policies, including defence. But now, against the backdrop of Russian aggression, Danes are being asked whether they still want to opt out of EU defence planning.
Denmark has a history of saying no to Europe in referendums. It has long been concerned about a closer union and being swallowed up by bigger neighbours. Only 30 years ago they decided to opt out of a common European defence policy. Danes wanted nothing to do with it, and the EU went ahead without them.
The strategic situation, the geostrategic changes show that now we need a stronger Europe.
While European countries were looking for more military cooperation, Denmark rather focused on its membership in NATO. Just recently they increased their presence in Estonia to help protect the Baltics against Russian aggression. But it was Russia's invasion of Ukraine that finally changed the political mood in Copenhagen, in spite of traditional Euroscepticism.
There is also a realization amongst the public that we are in a crisis situation. So maybe it's not that bad an idea to reconsider how Denmark is participating in EU and security defense.
Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen called a referendum on whether to reverse course and opt in to the EU's joint defense policies. Us who are gathered here tonight have agreed that a referendum will be held on the 1st of June this year. We very strongly urge the Danes to abolish the defense reservation. Opinion polls foresee a majority for yes, but parties on the extreme left and right are campaigning against giving up the opt-out option, and Danes have been known to change their minds before.